From Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana, Siddiqui. First, the headlines. FBI seizes Trump's election attorney's phone. U.S. anti-abortionists see divine hand in court ruling. Brooklyn Museum reopens Arts of Asia and the Islamic world. Bennett government most dangerous to Jerusalem, Palestinian minister. Iran says to hold indirect talks with U.S. on nuclear sanctions. Leading Indian Muslim journalist arrested for tweeting photo from 1983 Hindi film. Our top story tonight. The FBI has seized the phone of former President Donald Trump's election attorney, John Eastman, according to a new court filing. Eastman called the search and seizure improper in a federal lawsuit filed Monday in New Mexico. It highlights the aggressive steps the Justice Department has taken in recent weeks as part of its ongoing criminal probe into the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Federal agents from the Justice Department's Office of Inspector General are coordinating with the wider FBI and U.S. Attorney General investigation. Last week, they raided the home of former DOJ official Jeffrey Clark, CNN reports. That search came the same day as Eastman's. Diana Villanueva's rapist took her to an abortion clinic when she was just 16 years old and told her to terminate her pregnancy. She wasn't greeted by the crowds of protesters who often gather outside facilities in the United States to try to persuade women to change their minds. But now this 53-year-old Catholic wishes she had been, because she has been haunted by the termination ever since. Villanueva now runs a retreat in her native El Paso, Texas, helping women who, like her, regret their abortion. Devised by psychologist Teresa Burke, Rachel's Vineyard draws on biblical scripture to promote healing the pain of abortion. Villanueva discovered Rachel's Vineyard through her church, and her anti-abortion position is heavily colored by her religion. She rejected the mantra of abortion rights supporters, "It's my body, my choice." "It's not your body belongs to Christ," Villanueva said. 46 migrants were found dead inside a semi-truck in San Antonio, Texas, City Councilwoman Adriana Rocha Garcia said. Rocha Garcia, who represents San Antonio's District 4, told CNN Monday that 16 others were taken to the hospital. 3 of the migrants were taken to Methodist Hospital Metropolitan and are in stable condition, according to a spokesperson for the hospital. The Brooklyn Museum is reopening an entire floor dedicated to Arts of Asia and the Islamic world. The 10-year renovation project celebrates the diversity and encyclopedic scope of the museum's renowned collections housed in more than 20,000 square feet of space. The floor, renovated for the first time in 40 years, now features nearly 700 objects, including newly conserved and rare works of art. It opens September 30th. The exhibit creates cross-cultural dialogue and highlights diverse aesthetic, creative, social, and intellectual accomplishments across Asia and the Mediterranean. These collections boast more than 17,000 objects. They include textiles, paintings, drawings, carvings, metalwork, and other artifacts. Students in a service learning course at Macon, Georgia's Mercer University have created materials to help dismantle Islamophobia. The class teaches the context and history of Islamophobia in the U.S. and shows what Muslims are doing about it. Dr. Shehnaz Haqqani, assistant professor of religion in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, taught the course. Students participated in 3 workshops taught by the Council on American Islamic Relations, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. They also spent time at the Islamic Center of Macon to learn more about Islamophobia and how it affects people on a local level. Haqqani said she wants students to get a sense of what Muslims are like. Dr. Haqqani is going to join us in our in-depth analysis segment later tonight, so keep watching Muslim News. On Monday, 3 Somali soldiers were killed and several others injured after their convoy ran over a roadside landmine in the central region of Hiran, police said. The incident took place in Mataban, a town 251 miles from the capital, Mogadishu. 2 journalists were among those wounded, Dini Ahmad, a police spokesman, said. Military officials said that fighting continues in the Mataban town between government forces and Al-Shabaab terrorists, according to Garo online media outlet. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Police said the Al-Shabaab terrorist group has carried out similar bombings in the past. On Monday, Sudan summoned the Ethiopian envoy amid Sudanese accusations against the Ethiopian government executing 8 people. The Sudanese army said 7 soldiers and a civilian had been seized on Sudanese territory last week and taken to Ethiopia, where they were killed. The foreign ministry said it has summoned the Ethiopian ambassador to protest the killings and will recall its envoy from the capital, Addis Ababa, for consultations. The ministry said it will submit a complaint to the UN Security Council over the Ethiopian attack on Sudanese territories. There was no comment from Ethiopia on the Sudanese move. Tension has escalated between Sudan and Ethiopia in recent months. This is over the Al-Fashqa Triangle, a decades-long disputed border area lacking definite demarcation. A Palestinian minister is calling Naftali Bennett's government the most dangerous for Jerusalem. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Mr. Speaker, if I decide to wear a turban, or you decide to wear a cross, or he decides to wear a kippah or a skull cap, or she decides to wear a hijab or a burqa, does that mean that it is open season for right honourable members of this House to make derogatory and divisive remarks about our appearance? For those of us who from a young age have had to endure and face up to being called names such as Towelhead or Taliban, or coming from Bongo land, we can appreciate full well the hurt and pain felt by already vulnerable Muslim women when they are described as looking like bank robbers and letterboxes. So rather than hide behind sham and whitewash investigations, when will the Prime Minister finally apologise for his derogatory and racist remarks? Racist remarks, Mr. Speaker, which have led to a spike in hate crime. And given the increasing prevalence of such incidents within his party, when will the Prime Minister finally order an inquiry into Islamophobia within the Conservative Party, something which he and his Chancellor promised on national television?
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Assalamu alaikum! Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever-popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
It's Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
Welcome back. On Monday, Palestinian Minister of Jerusalem Affairs Fadi al-Hidmi called the government of Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett the most dangerous to Jerusalem. The Israeli Knesset was set to vote yesterday on a bill to dissolve itself and move to early elections to prepare for the formation of a new government. It would replace Bennett's cabinet, which came to power last year. Al-Hidmi said Bennett's government has escalated settlement building, Palestinian home demolitions, and arrests, along with pursuing plans to Judaize Jerusalem. He added Bennett's government continues violations inside Al-Aqsa Mosque and Islamic and Christian holy sites in the city. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev met with Organization of Islamic Cooperation Secretary General Hussein Brahim Taha on Monday. The duo discussed the bloc's vision to promote Islamic solidarity and joint Islamic action. The meeting occurred on the sidelines of the 11th session of the Islamic Conference of Tourism Ministers in Azerbaijan's capital, Baku. Aliyev pledged his country's full support to Taha's vision and mission to protect and safeguard the interest of the Muslim world, the OIC said. Taha congratulated Aliyev on the liberation of Azerbaijan's territories from Armenian occupation almost 2 years ago. He voiced support for the country's efforts to reconstruct its liberated areas. On Monday, Iran said indirect talks with the United States would resume this week in a Gulf country. The move is part of wider efforts to revive the 2015 nuclear deal. Negotiations will be separate from broader talks in Vienna between Iran and major powers and will be mediated by the European Union. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Saeed Khatibzadeh said the talks would focus on the lifting of sanctions imposed by Washington on Tehran. The landmark nuclear deal has been hanging by a thread since 2018. That was when then U.S. President Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew from the deal and began imposing harsh economic sanctions on Iran. An advocacy group for Australian Muslims has filed a complaint against Twitter for failing to take action against accounts inciting hatred. The complaint was filed with the Queensland Human Rights Commission. The Australian Muslim Advocacy Network said Twitter is responsible for content posted by a far-right account cited in the manifesto of an extremist who killed 77 people in Norway in 2011. The group said Twitter has refused to delete the account and replies to its posts despite multiple requests. Comments posted on the account vilify Muslims, including one saying the Quran should be referred to as a terrorist handbook. On Monday, Indian police arrested a leading Muslim journalist known for his fact-checking website for allegedly disturbing religious harmony. Mohammed Zubair is the co-founder of Alt News, which aims to debunk misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation on social and mainstream media. He has also been targeted for Hindu-phobic tweets for merely mocking statements made by the ruling BJP's leaders. Zubair is accused of insulting a honeymoon to Hanuman hotel signboard photo from a 1983 Hindi comedy film. American Muslim human rights group Justice for All strongly condemned Zubair's arrest and demand his immediate release. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Mr. Speaker, if I decide to wear a turban, or you decide to wear a cross, or he decides to wear a kippah or a skull cap, or she decides to wear a hijab or a burqa, does that mean that it is open season for right honourable members of this House to make derogatory and divisive remarks about our appearance? For those of us who from a young age have had to endure and face up to being called names such as Towelhead or Taliban or coming from Bongo land, we can appreciate full well the hurt and pain felt by already vulnerable Muslim women when they are described as looking like bank robbers and letterboxes. So rather than hide behind sham and whitewash investigations, when will the Prime Minister finally apologise for his derogatory and racist remarks? Racist remarks, Mr. Speaker, which have led to a spike in hate crime. And given the increasing prevalence of such incidents within his party, when will the Prime Minister finally order an inquiry into Islamophobia within the Conservative Party, something which he and his Chancellor promised on national television?
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
Welcome back. To discuss ways to counter Islamophobia, let's go to Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Over to you, Imam Mujahid.
Thank you, Samana. Islamophobia machine is here, right here in the United States. But around the world, it is doing a lot of damage, especially in India nowadays. But there is someone here in the United States who is concerned about that, and students have come up with tools and resources how to deal with Islamophobia. Dr. Shehnaz Haqqani is going to be my guest. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So you have been teaching at this university, and your students have come up with this idea of how to handle with that. What type of students you have? Where do you get them?
That's a great question. The Islamophobia course that I teach, which was the second time I taught this past spring in 2022, they're third, fourth year students. I might get a couple of first or second year students, but they vary a lot. And usually by the third and fourth year, they have an opportunity to take any class that might either be relevant to their majors, if they're majoring, for example, in policy or history, etc. They might take a course like this, or they might just generally be interested in anti-racism or just racism and wanting to better understand the world and make it better. So mostly for third-year students who are just invested in a better world.
Well, students interested, willing to invest in a better world is an amazing gift. Tell us, what have they come up with? What resources and tools have they developed?
Yes, so the way that I taught this course this semester was as a community-based learning or service learning course. Mercer has a great service learning program, and I work with a community-based learning program also with a workshop that was hosted by or done through Johns Hopkins, led by Humaira Ziad and Hussein Rashid. And the idea was to teach a course, an Islam-focused course, in a way that would train the students about connecting with the Muslim community. And one of the ideas I gave them for a project was because they have to have a project. Community service learning course comes with a service project. they produce something that would be useful to the community, in this case, the Muslim community in Macon, in Macon, Georgia. And the idea would be to think about how this resource or this toolkit or this product would be used for future students or future community members, or how this could better help people understand Islamophobia or dismantle Islamophobia. So the students were asked to think about a question or a gap that would help them, that they wish a resource that they wish they had when they were, let's say, outside of this class. And so the first or second day of classes, we talked about, who is your audience? Imagine an audience. Think about your family members who are Islamophobic or who are racist, or relatives, that notorious racist uncle who says really terrible things about Muslims or about Black people and so on at a Thanksgiving dinner. And one student was interested, for example, in the ways that Islam was taught to her in high school or middle school. And she wanted to fix that problem or contribute to fixing that problem by thinking about what resources high school teachers, middle school teachers could use to better understand Islam for themselves in order to be able to teach it in a more appropriate way. Someone else was interested in the question of the hijab. Why are Americans or Islamophobic Americans so concerned with the covering of Muslim women? So they were just asked to think about an audience and then try to pitch to them this project and say, here's a resource that will better help you understand why you have problematic attitudes towards the Muslims and how you can improve them.
I seen a news report that one of your students actually has developed outline of a curriculum. How is she, a student in undergrad program, is able to think so deeply and come up with the outline of a curriculum?
I get really lucky. I get really lucky with my other Islamophobia course also that I taught. The students are just, like I said, deeply invested in a better world. And in this case, she would often talk about, not just her, but the other students also would often talk about the problematic things that they learned in their schools, or, things that they learned at churches about Islam. And so this one student said she wants to think about she wants to know what resources are out there, better, history books, better Islam books, better books on Muslims around the world that would provide a more accurate or as close to an accurate portrayal of Islam and Muslims worldwide. And so she wanted to, create something like a curriculum. I wouldn't call it exactly a curriculum. It's a really beautiful sort of graphic that provides some resources, including key terms. What is Orientalism? What is Islamophobia? What are subconscious biases? Why should somebody know why subconscious biases matter when they're teaching about Islam? And so she just, I often get lucky when I teach courses, upper level courses at Mercer, where the students are just very knowledgeable, very aware, and again, genuinely invested in a better world. And she was one of them.
Professor Haqqani, as a time when, critical race theory is, people are wrestling on the race theory, something like that, does it have a room in American classroom nowadays?
It does. So the way that I think of this, especially this one student's project on, preparing or equipping K through 12 teachers with how to better teach Islam, the way that I think of that one is, one, there are many, many different ways to teach about Islamophobia that are effective, that are productive, and that aren't threatening to the empire, to these racist institutions. But her curriculum in particular, the resources that she was providing these teachers, the idea was, hey, teachers, at the very least on your own, know that these books exist, these resources exist. She gives links to some online links that teachers can access to just better them individually prepare themselves for how to teach about Islam in a more appropriate way, in a less Islamophobic, less exclusionary way. And then those teachers don't have to teach those same texts in their classes, but at least they would be aware, and they would be aware of their subconscious biases, for example. How much time are they giving to Islam when they're talking about world religions? How much time are they giving to the Middle East when they're talking about the world? In what ways are they talking about the Middle East or South Asia or Muslim majority countries? And so at the very least, these teachers would have some knowledge of Islam and the ways that they think and teach about it, so that it is a bit more appropriate. And they don't have to assign those readings in their classes. And so that's how I think of it. The teachers are individually prepared to teach about Islam.
So Mercer University, what has been their response to this type of work which you're doing? It goes beyond teaching a book and getting over with that.
Oh my God, Mercer has been incredibly supportive. I like to think of it as me just, again, being lucky with this. But Mercer, I'm in the religion department. I'm an Islam specialist in the religion department at Mercer. And they have been incredibly supportive, both as my department, my chair, the service learning program. They gave me some funds to help students print these curricula or these, these brochures or these graphics. They have been, they want to see Mercer doing well. They want to see Mercer students doing well, and they want to see a better world. And so they gave me the resources that I needed, the financial and other support that I needed. I constantly met with the director of the program to say, I have a lot of questions. I've never done a service learning course. How do I do this? And they were all just very patient with me. And Mercer is a great institution with a powerful vision and willing to train students to, be better citizens of the world.
Well, Dr. Haqqani, one thing for my personal education, what is this service learning class? It looks like to me a field trip.
Did you say a field trip? No. So a service learning programs will often require students to have a community project, a service project. A lot of people misunderstand a service learning course to simply be, hey, go help, clean up the neighborhood or something. But one of the workshop that I mentioned that I was doing with Johns Hopkins through Humaira Ziad and Hussein Rashid, we got trained. I was in this workshop, again, community-based learning focused workshop, teaching us how to help students develop projects that are long-lasting and that are impactful, and that are also mutually beneficial. So having students, the Mercer program does the same thing. It wants the instructor who is teaching this course to find community partners. My colleagues, I was looking at colleagues' syllabi for the courses, the community-based learning courses that they've taught, and they were really beautiful, brilliant stuff. They find community organizations and just local individuals and organizations that will work with their students, but in a way where the students' needs are met, the instructors' courses needs are met, but also the communities or the organizations' needs are met. And so it's a very mutually beneficial course. In this case, the idea was to have my students work with the Muslims of Macon, Georgia. So the local mosque there was incredibly open and incredibly supportive. The imam was very welcoming, encouraged me to have my students come in on Fridays or Sundays when it's very busy. And so the students got to build a community or build networks with the mosque. They had really great experiences, and they would often rave about in their, they had to have like a weekly report, and they would rave about their experiences and talk about how one student often said that he had learned so much about the Muslims and Islam just by meeting with Muslims and going to the mosque and having lunches or dinners with them. I got lucky that it was Ramadan this spring, and so the students got to have iftar a lot with the folks at the mosque. And so the idea was for the students to get to develop skills such as how to have open conversations, how to ask Muslims, how to introduce themselves to Muslims and tell them, I'm working on this project, I'm working in this class. How can I ask you questions that I know you might currently find inappropriate, but I'm just learning, help me out here. And so they worked with the Muslim community in Macon, and they also, we worked with CARE Georgia, also incredibly supportive and incredibly willing to help us with anything. And so they gave my students 2 sessions of teaching workshops on Islamophobia and anti-Islamophobia, teaching them how to develop projects that might be helpful and impactful, and then giving them feedback. And so CARE was very, very supportive also.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Haqqani, for your time and for your work, and for the blessing that you have so many good students.
Yes. I think
some credit does go to professor also, right?
I'm sorry?
Some credit goes to teacher as well.
Some credit goes to the teacher, yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Back to you, Samana.
Thank you, Imam Mujahid. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.